Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, which means it's time to talk about how awful Star Trek has become. I am your host, Matthew Caters, frustrated producer of the Salty Nerd Podcast, wanting to welcome you all to yet another Saturday morning live stream where we talk about all things Star Trek. And we have a very busy schedule today because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Star Trek universe. But first, I want to introduce my expert panel. First of all, Matt Vader 74, my cohort in crime here. He's sick. So he's not going to be doing a lot of talking, but he's here to help moderate the chat. So if you have a lot of chat stuff going on, like if you want to say something, Vader will be there to call you up. And before we get going, I just want to thank RM, because I can't roll my R's.
It's
okay. For the 99 cent
sticker.
Super sticker. Thank you, RM. Next up on our panel is Danny the Dork Knight LV. Danny, thank you for being here as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, one of the most knowledgeable people I know when it comes to Star Trek, the Salty Trekker himself, Michael. Michael, thank you for joining us this morning.
You keep acting like I know something about Star Trek. I don't know why you're saying that.
Yeah, he's spoken like a true hustler. I want to give a shout out to Paulie. Yeah, hey man, thanks for joining us.
So just really quick, I called out work last night, like I hate to do, but I'm always wondering what I'm missing out on the Friday night YouTube scene, right? And it turns out I'm missing Paulie and Tom and Culture Casino scene karaoke for hours on end. And it is brutal bad, and it is hilarious to watch, and everybody should go see it. So yeah, actually, Culture Casino can actually kind of sing. The other two guys, not so much.
We should do that. That would be fun. We should do a Salty Nerd karaoke night just for shits and giggles.
No, we should not. But welcome, Paulie. Nice to see you, buddy.
Yeah. And our other panelist, Brian Montgomery from the Popcast, he's going to be joining us a little bit late, but he will pop in when he feels like it. So that is our panel for today. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. And the first thing I want to get out of the way really quick is a story that Danny actually brought to my attention yesterday about Star Trek NFTs.
I knew you would love it. I knew you would love it.
Boy.
I'm sorry, guys.
Trying to kill our audience to begin with.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, I figured we get this out of the way first. So basically, Paramount is launching this thing called Paramount.xyz. And it's their kind of metaverse interactive service, I guess. And they're getting ready to launch a round of NFTs that are it's like $250 to buy a pack. And you get a randomly generated Star Trek starship of these packs. And this is like their kind of, I guess, like flagship NFT offering.
Why is it so expensive to be a Star Trek fan?
There's going to be 20,000 Starship packs available in the first 24 hours of the sale. No two ships will be the same. And they're kind of focusing on a building out a metaverse, and they're using Star Trek to kind of launch it. And this article is really about, not only does it talk about, the launching of the NFTs, but it talks about the quote unquote backlash. And I don't put too much stock in IGN's reporting because they're pretty much a garbage publication. But they showed a bunch of Twitter users, and the backlash that they were talking about, it's all the same. Where that basically it's people who don't know anything about crypto saying that it's bad for the environment, and Paramount's promoting, anti-environmental policies by using NFTs and stuff like that. You guys can check out the article if you want. I actually think that this is kind of cool in the sense that, I would want to live in a Star Trek metaverse for a little while. Like I'd want to have like my own ship, get to walk down the corridors of my ship and fly it around in the Star Trek universe. And I think that that's kind of like, this is the first step to that. And we all know that NFTs are kind of like, future.
I'd be on board for that. I don't have the deep pockets that you got for to afford all that. Like $250 a pack. How many do you get in the pack? Oh, hey,
just one. So Joker Voice for $5. Hail panel and chat. Great stream Thursday on cultural vandalism. I use it as a reference for my latest video. Good stuff. Hashtag keep talking. Yeah, I saw that you posted that in Discord, Joker. Thanks for checking out the chat. I'm glad that you liked it. We had a lot of fun talking about it. I feel like it was very relevant. So Danny, for $250, you just get one starship, but it's one of 20,000. So it's a limited number. But they're using these as collectibles, So I think that it'd be cool to have like your own little starship, especially if you can eventually use it in the metaverse that they're planning out. But
oh no, totally. I just I got those deep pockets,
Or and hear me out on this for just a second. For free, you go to Star Trek Online and play a starship that you name yourself and not pay $250.
Well, what's funny, Michael, is like whenever I've gone to the Star Trek convention, there are people who spend way more than that on other types of Star Trek collectibles.
Dude,
so
right?
I feel like Paramount knows that the Star Trek hardcore will pretty much buy whatever.
No, I know.
I wrote an article for Postmodern More 10 years ago, talking about how insanely expensive it is if you want to be a hardcore Star Trek fan, because it was the second or third time I'd gone to the Star Trek convention. I think it was actually after I met you, Kadish, where I bought this shirt. And it's like everything is so insanely expensive, not just tickets to the thing, but just everything there. It's like if you want to be a hardcore Star Trek fan, you got to be a doctor or an engineer or something. You got to have some money,
Real quick, guys, I want to welcome Brian from the Popcast to the stream. Good
What's up, boys? How you guys doing?
Sorry I had to dip out before he finished. There was a lot of stuff I still wanted to talk about, but I've just been going way too long by that point.
No worries, man. No worries.
So we're just quickly covering the Star Trek NFTs that Paramount announced yesterday for the metaverse. And what's funny is if you look at something like Star Citizen, which based most of its crowdfunding upon selling people ships that for a game that doesn't exist. These Star Trek NFTs, at least they're going to have the support of an actual studio where they have plans to introduce metaverse stuff over time. And I feel like they're getting in on this very early, but I think most of Hollywood knows that NFTs are kind of the future of movie collectibles and stuff.
Speaking of NFTs, did you hear about this Kevin Smith thing that he's doing?
What's he doing?
So you haven't. So his what's it called? Kilroy or Killjoy or something, his next movie that's coming out is he's selling gosh, I have to find the article, but he's selling NFTs for it. So he's not releasing it.
Well, and he's using it as a crowdfunding method, right?
No. It's hold up, I gotta find it. So he was, because I was talking to Chris, who
it was every frame of the film going to be an NFT.
No. What he's doing, he's selling 20, I think it's 20,000 NFT. Hold up. Okay, here we go. I was talking to the dude from Bleeding Fool, and what he's doing is he's going to do I can't find it. Anyways, he's selling NFTs of the movie, and that's the only way to see it. And then he's making a second one, and then the people who buy NFTs are, because it's some kind of an anthology kind of movie, and the people who buy the NFTs get to submit shorts or animations or whatever, and those are going to be in the sequel. And I'll have to find it and put it in the private chat, but I'm surprised you did, because you're always on top of this NFT stuff. And
I've been very busy dealing with CBS and Halo copyright strikes this past week, so forgive me if I'm behind on my crypto.
What
NFT
the hell is with that? I've noticed you guys have had to repost that video like 4 times at least, right?
CBS are a bunch of fascists. Like if we even mention Star Trek on our stream, we get demonetized by them.
That's ridiculous.
But Halo in particular, like anyone that has anything to do with Halo, if they even show like a 1-second clip from a Halo show, CBS is blocking them worldwide and putting a copyright claim on the video and all this other fun stuff.
All right.
That's pretty insane.
That's ridiculous, man. All you guys are doing, really, if you think about it, is helping them.
Well, CBS has been notorious for doing stuff like this. Brian, you can probably attest to that more than anyone.
They are.
So here it is. I found it. So only a select years in the making, Kevin Smith's next film is finally getting released, but only a select few will get a chance to see it. The comedy horror anthology Kilroy Was Here will be available exclusively via 5,555 NFTs. And I put the link in there if you want to check it out some more, but that seems crazy to me, but.
Well, it's, NFTs offer, especially independent filmmakers, so many different alternatives with which to finance their films and distribute their films and stuff like that. In fact, if you guys out there watching want to go back on my bad writing playlist on the Salty Nerd YouTube channel, we have an interview with an NFT expert named Crypto Stash and David Hewlett from Stargate Atlantis.
I saw that Crypto Stash.
Yeah, where the three of us kind of got together and just kind of talked about NFTs and how they are going to impact the entertainment industry. So if that's interesting to you guys, be sure to check out that video. But I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know Matt Vader 74 goes cross-eyed if we talk about these things for too long.
You need to throw Paulie's comment up on the screen because that's totally true, man. Like, yeah, absolute. My buddy Gary's got a funny video. I think you saw it on Twitter where he was like, it's the CBS logo and then it says like, "We don't care" or something. Like that.
Yeah, pretty much any show that is in CBS's library, they're going to copy strike you if you use any of it. So one of the things I want to talk about today and get the panel's reaction to it is that, so we had the Star Trek Picard Season 3 announcement that basically said that everyone from the original series or the original Next Generation series is going to be returning for Star Trek Picard Season 3. And I found the timing of this kind of odd because we're not even done with Season 2 yet.
Right, and it comes out a day before they tease Picard.
Danny, please let me finish. Basically, they announce it before the end of Season 2. Now, typically, this would be the type of thing where after the finale of Season 2, they come out and they're like, hey, we got all this stuff. So I'm thinking that because they released this early, it must be a sign that Season 2 is not doing well in terms of like the viewership numbers, because otherwise they'd probably sit on this for a while. So I wanted to get the panel's reaction to this. Michael, let's start with you. Why do you think they announced this big thing so early with bringing back the whole TNG crew?
It baffles me, to be honest, that they did release this mid-season. I don't know. I think that we do, as fans, we tend to try to read too deep into it, whether or not, it's a sign that they're struggling or it's a victory lap. Because I do think that half the fandom is going to see this as CBS declaring bankruptcy, and the other half is going to see this is CBS triumphantly declaring that they've won the streaming wars. But the fact is, we don't know. It's some kind of strategy, but we don't know which end of the spectrum it really falls on. Or this could be something that they planned a year ago. We have no clue. The only people that really know are the people that meet in the boardrooms. I mean, personally, I think it's a stupid move. I do think this is something that should come at the end of the season. But this is something we talked about a little bit last night, but I think, honestly, I don't care because there's only 2 characters on that list that I care about what happened to them after the end of TNG. And that's Worf and Riker.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I could not give 2 craps about what happened to them after the end of TNG.
See, I just want to correct you. It's couldn't. I couldn't care. Everybody says
sorry.
that wrong. Yeah.
So pardon me, dork knight.
Bad grammar aside, I want to throw this to Brian. So Brian, a lot of people when this announcement was made, they were like, "Why wasn't this season 1 of Picard? Why couldn't we just have gotten a TNG reunion show of some type?" But they also shot Picard season 2 and 3 back to back simultaneously, so they knew about this going into it for quite some time.
Right.
And you would think that they would want to build up a little bit more hype about like the whole original cast, minus, of course, everyone's favorites.
Where's the picture?
Waiting, yeah. To come back and do this reunion. In fact, I believe in season 1 they even came out, Akiva Goldsman and Kurtzman, saying that this isn't going to be a TNG reunion show. This is going to be about Picard and stuff like that. So they kind of walked back on that with season 3. What are your thoughts on this announcement and the timing of it?
I mean, it had to be planned, like completely planned. And the interesting part about that is, if it was planned, then I feel like someone planned wrong. It should have definitely been at the end of the season, but this is literally smack dab right in the middle of the season. Like, if you counted the days, this is that the day it came out was the middle of that release. So it was a plan. It was a planned release, and you got to ask yourself why. Why would they do it in the middle? I don't think it was. People were saying, "Oh, it's because the views are bad on Picard." I don't think that's the case. I believe that it was scheduled for this purpose. So either they have a plan and there's more stuff coming, and they just wanted to get people, uber hyped, and they have plenty of marketing material to share, or someone over there just did. I think they just scheduled it. Their scheduling was very, very poor.
So, Danny, I think that one of the interesting things about this is that you could say that if they see the viewership failing on Picard, they're like, how can we get Star Trek fans to come back to the series? It's like, oh, I know, we'll announce that what they really want, which is the TNG reunion, is coming, so you might as well come and check out Picard. Do you think there's any truth to that, or do you agree with Brian where he was like, this was just planned?
I actually do not agree with Brian, because the joke I was trying to make earlier was like, do you smell that? Smells like desperation to me. That's what this smells like, because they released this trailer the day before. They'd already teased that, ooh, something's happened to Picard. He might die. And we know he's not going to die because his name's in the freaking show. But like, they also released the trailer for season 3 right before that episode. So it kills any kind of like, I hate to compare it, but like, when you watch wrestling and like some and you guys might not get this, but like, say like the champion's fighting some like hometown local boy you've never heard of, but he's doing so good that you suspend disbelief for a minute and you think, oh my God, he might actually win. But in the back of your head, he's not gonna. Kind of feels like that to me. Does that make sense? Did that analogy translate? Yeah. Or okay. So I don't know. I'm not a fan. We'll get into the episode later, but I think this is too little too late. Actually, my buddy Eric put that trailer on my Facebook, and so the day it came out, I woke up and I'm checking through my phone notifications. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I watch it, and he even said, like, his comment on it was like, too little too late. They can't right this ship. They've already done so much damage. And maybe that's why CBS and Paramount is being so hard on people. Like, didn't you get blocked, Vader? Didn't they block you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're just being so strict because so many fans are ticked off about the way they've just soiled Picard's legacy, and just shat all over him. And so now they're trying to course correct. That's just how I feel. I mean,
so speaking of shitting on Picard's legacy, one of the fun things that happened this week was that Red Letter Media released their review of Picard episodes 4 and 5. I just want to talk about this kind of briefly because the Red Letter Media guys are usually kind of like above, the Star Trek stuff, where they're like, they've accepted that it's crap and they're just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, it's more crap. But this RLM review that they just released for episodes 4 and 5 made it clear that Mike was not detached anymore. Like, he was actively upset. Like, you could tell he was pissed when you watched this episode. and he actively talked about the things that pissed him off about this show. And I want to play for you guys just a 2-minute clip from this thing and kind of talk about it afterwards and get your reaction to what was said and stuff like that. So I'm just going to play this video real quick.
Question is, why make commentary on that unless there's a point to it, other than to point it out and say, we don't like that. Clearly, whoever wrote that episode hates ice. I get that. What does it have to do with the show? I get if you want to make a commentary on something, right? I was thinking about this while I was watching this, before the sudden gear shift to episode 5, right? I was thinking about the U.S.-Mexico border situation, right?
Yeah.
The whole concept of building a wall, the politics of it all. Should you arrest people, deport them? Should you let people in? It's a very political issue, right? And I'm thinking about Star Trek Voyager. Captain Janeway is flying in a spacecraft called the Star Trek Voyager, right?
Yeah.
And they encounter a planetary system. Now, you can help me write this, right?
Okay.
Let's say there are 2 planets. One planet has a lot of poverty and crime on it, and there's drugs and governments that aren't completely working for the people, and maybe the other planet.
They have all these beautiful resources. They got pristine, clear water.
That's the other planet.
That's the other planet. The other planet,
maybe,
yes.
Maybe it gets more sunlight, and the other planet is shrouded in darkness.
Make it a little bit science fiction-y. Like the other planet, the poor planet is like closer to the sun, and the sun's like,
okay.
It's going through some kind of weird phase where it's emitting this weird radiation that's really like playing havoc, and it's making the poor world unlivable.
Yes.
And all those people are trying to get into the nice world, so they don't die.
They want to get into the nice world, and so they cobble together. They used to have space travel. They cobble together spaceships and they fly over, trying to get to the other planet. But the other planet has like a force field around it, and they also have spaceships and they intercept. Right?
They have a culture that's very just like hands off, like stay away. We'll keep to ourselves.
Yes, we'll let some of you in, but not everybody from the whole planet, right? Mm-hmm. In an actual science fiction episode, you would have the pros and cons. You'd have Captain Janeway getting involved and going, how do we solve this problem, right? That's what politics is. That's why it's an issue, is because there are 2 sides, right? There's 2 ways to look at an issue. And that's how you do a science fiction show about a science fiction version of this situation that exists today.
So I wanted to play you guys that clip because I think Mike perfectly encapsulates at the end how proper science fiction is written if you want to deliver a message. He specifically says, like, it's political for a reason because there are 2 sides to the issue. And so you present both sides, and you kind of, even if you fall on one side or the other, you kind of allow the audience to make up their minds as to which side they agree with. And that was kind of like the standard for Star Trek writing in the past, right? Where, basically Mike laid out exactly how they do that stuff. With Picard, they don't do that at all. They hit you over the head with their messaging. So I just wanted to get the reaction of the panel. If you didn't watch the RLM review, I highly recommend you do. But what did you think of that concept that Mike and Rich kind of laid out there? We'll start with you, Michael.
Well, I would say this, and they kind of left it out of the Red Letter Media thing, but and I know a lot of you guys are writers, so you'll understand this, is that good writing, not just sci-fi, but any writing, if you're going to try to do any kind of social commentary, is you should ask questions, not give answers. Right. And that's what they're, when it comes to the ice part of this storyline, especially, they're just feeding you answers. Ice is bad, right? They're saying that closed borders is bad. And that may be the opinion of the writers and all that. And whether you agree with that or not, that's clearly the opinion of the people that are putting the show together. And that makes for very basically propaganda-ish television, whether you agree with the perspective of the show or not. And it makes it so that then it makes it so that all your ICE agents are basically mustache twirling villains that are, so that's why every ICE agent is going to be acting like a crazed racist that just wants to beat the crap out of every prisoner that's in a cell. And so it just opens up the floodgates to making everybody that works for ICE an evil villain, and it just turns it into a cartoon. So if you simply turn it into asking questions, you can then open it up to humanizing the agents at ICE, to them questioning what's going on, to them asking the question about, well, if we don't do this, look at the problems that it'll cause. If we don't do this, then what is the solution? Things like that can become interesting questions to ask, because the people of Los Angeles, it's really easy to say, hey, if, rounding up illegal immigrants and sending them back home is wrong because you're sending them to a bad place. Okay, then what do we do? Now all of a sudden you have a real conversation. And so instead of just saying, well, everything will be great if you just let them into society. Well, wait, hold on. Let's have a real adult conversation about this. And so they're not willing to do that. If you want to bring that up at all. But something we talked about on the Popcast yesterday, which, by the way, you should all be subscribed to Popcast Live if you're
Amen
not
to that,
already.
brother.
But the but one of the things that we talked about is that you could have simply left out those 2 episodes of the show, and it would have had zero impact on the season.
Yep. Very true.
Yep.
Which is a whole argument for why did we even do this in the first place?
Exactly. I think the analogy I used was the Last Jedi, right? The whole casino.
Yeah, the
world
Canto
thing.
Bite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same thing.
so let me ask you, Brian. What did you think of this clip from the Red Letter Meteor review? And did you have a chance to watch the whole review that they did?
No, I just saw that
Okay.
clip you showed me.
All right. What do you think about this concept of actually showing both sides of a political issue and kind of trusting the audience to make up their own minds?
Yeah, I agree. It's ridiculously important to show both sides, unless the story is calling for you to show one side so you can steer the audience one way or the other way, and then and surprise them later on or something like that. But
Yeah.
when it comes, if you're going to get political, showing both sides is allowing the entire audience to enjoy the story that you're telling,
Or at least understand the opposite
or at least
side.
understand. Right. Yeah. Then they need to show both sides. It doesn't matter where you fall politically. If you're telling a story and you want to tell a good story, you want to show both sides, especially when you have such a wide audience.
So, Danny, one of the things I wanted to ask you about here is that, Mike's big issue with episodes 4 and 5 of Picard was that he felt that these little asides where they were doing the political messaging had nothing to do with the overall story. And so he felt like he wasted his time watching these episodes because they didn't actually fit into once the ice thing was resolved, it's like, okay, we have to go to this ball and rescue Rene Picard. So do you agree with that? Do you think that these episodes 3 through 5 were just kind of like a side quest that doesn't fit into the overall season?
I don't know. Actually, no. We talked about this a little bit. I think episode 3 and 4 were totally unnecessary. They had no impact on the story whatsoever. Episode 5, which was yesterday's episode, right? What was it, 5 or 6?
6 was yesterday.
6 was okay. So no, then 3, 4, and 5 you could have taken out. Yesterday's episode was and I don't want to break your format, but there were so many things about yesterday's episode that was puzzling to me. The Picard thing.
We're going to get into it. We're going to
Okay.
get into that.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to get your take on the Red Letter Media thing, because what strikes me as funny is that Red Letter Media, they're so aloof when it comes to, saying bad things about Star Wars or Star Trek, because they just don't care. But in this video of Mike talking about this, you could tell that he actually does care, and he was pissed. And he made a lot of really good points. And
Yes.
one of the things that struck me was like, why did I watch 2-3 episodes of about border politics that
Propaganda.
has nothing to do with the rest of the show?
Yeah, so okay. Thank you for corralling me back into the right direction. So we were like, they just beat you over the head with their point of view, their propaganda, their political leanings or whatever, instead of giving you the full picture. Like I can't remember if it was Brian or Mike who was saying this earlier, but you're supposed to get both sides. You know what I mean? When to do it right. And instead, they're just trying to. It's like wrestling. I hate to keep doing this, but I watch a lot of wrestling. Sorry, Vader. When they want to make the crowd boo somebody, they just beat you over the head with, this is a bad person, this is all the bad stuff they do, and blah blah blah. And you don't get to, just because it's easy and it's cheap and it's a way to get the live crowd to boo. And it was like, are WWE writers doing this crap? Is what I thought, because I was like, you're trying to demonize and villainize and just cram this agenda that you have down our throat. And that's not why I watch TV, man. I watch TV to be entertained. I want to be entertained. I don't want to, I got enough crap going on in my life. Like I don't even like. Does anybody else miss the days where we never talked about politics? That shit was private. Does anybody else miss that? Because that's how I
miss
feel.
that. Yeah.
So
I feel like everything's political now. Like everything. It's ridiculous.
It's like, can we stop hating each other? We're all humans. We all bleed bread. Like, kumbaya, man. I don't know. Anyway, so that's
Brian, when we first started kind of covering this season of Picard, you talked about how Terry Matalas is the showrunner this season, and he's got like a lot of good Star Trek credentials to him. But at the same time, Akiva Goldsman, who is the genius who brought us Batman and Robin and the Oscar winner, he is actually the one who's been overseeing the first 2 seasons of Picard. And so I'm wondering, is Terry Matalas the one who's making these political decisions, or is he being forced to do this through Oscar winner Akiva Goldsman?
That is a wonderful question. We were told that Terry Matalas is the showrunner of Picard. He's certainly very, very active on social media about Picard. He's very active when it comes to talking to the press, talking to fans. But who's actually making the decisions? Because you're right, he is one of 2 showrunners, right?
Yeah, Akiva Goldsman. So he was kind of the the producer who oversaw season 1. Basically, Kurtzman handed Akiva Goldsman the reins for the Picard show, and so Akiva Goldsman's actually the guy who's kind of like the real showrunner. Like Terry Matalas might be doing the day-to-day stuff, but the overarching stuff is falling to Goldsman. Right.
And that's unfortunate. I mean, at the very least, they did get they recognized that they needed an actual Star Trek fan to be in charge of it. But again, it's still the same guy from the first season. Handling the overarching stuff. And that's a bummer, because Terry Matalas, if you just unleashed him, dude, 12 Monkeys is a perfect example. That's Terry Matalas, down and dirty.
Show. Yeah.
And it's an amazing show. I mean, it's phenomenal. And that was no one over him, no one telling him what he couldn't do or could do. I'm sure he took advice from people. I'm sure he worked with people. I'm not saying that, but no one was saying, hey, good job. We're going this direction. We're steering, no one else was steering the ship. They should have just trusted Terry Matalas. And I don't know. Why are they even paying Akiva Goldsman? Fire that guy.
Well,
save a bunch of money. What's that?
He's an Oscar winner. Speaking of saving a bunch of money, Michael, I wanted to ask you, do you think that one of the reasons why we're going back in time this season in order to save money was to pay for all the salaries of the TNG people coming back next season?
That's well. First, let me say this. I'm not 100% sure as far as who's pulling all the strings. So because I don't have any inside information on it, but I do understand that they were looking at bringing Locutus back, and they did say that there were going to be nipples on the new Locutus suit. That's all I've heard. So take
That's
that
a Batman
for
and Robin joke.
yeah. That's anyway.
For a half a second, I thought you were serious. I was like, why would they do that? That makes no sense. I was about to start ranting right now.
No, I'm sorry. I was waiting to say the Locutus thing. As far as do I think that the reason the time travel thing was to save their budget for season 3? I don't know if it's specifically for salaries or if it's because I think it might be a combination of things. I do think it is to backload for season 3. I do think it is to basically build a grand finale for season 3. I do think that but I think it's a combination of things. I do because salary cap, I don't think is as big a concern because while yes, they're pushing the fact that that's going to be a next gen reunion, I don't think we're going to see. Even if the entire cast of Next Gen was in every single episode, we're not talking about a bunch of A-list celebrities. Okay,
Right.
Gates McFadden has not exactly been in everything and under the sun
I don't
for
think
the
he's
last.
done anything.
Real quick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt. Mexican Iron Man. Super chat from Mexican Iron Man for $10. I'm back from more Picard therapy from my fellow nerds. This show has taken me from a optimistic tequila bottle half full Latino to my Trek tequila bottle is now half empty. Sad
Completely.
face sigh. Yeah, we feel you, Mexican Iron Man.
It's gone from swallowing the worm to drinking the maggots.
But Michael, there is like a collective bargaining thing with these like previous casts though, where basically like they all want to get paid the same amount of money for coming back. And so
That's true, but we're
Favored
talking
nations, I think, is what the agents call it.
yes, but we're talking about collectively. None of these people. I mean, as far as the TNG cast, Patrick Stewart is the only one who's a name. And
Exactly. Hold up. Sorry. Mexican Iron Man. I totally agree with that comment. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. So Patrick Stewart is the only one who's had a real career post TNG. At LeVar Burton, you could argue, he's done some stuff, but honestly, he's not a household name.
What?
And
Reading Rainbow. Come on, man.
Reading Rainbow was pre-TNG.
Yeah, I know, but everybody
Okay. But I mean, and so, like LeVar Burton, most of LeVar Burton's career was pre-TNG. And granted, LeVar Burton had quite a career pre-TNG. But a lot of these guys, TNG was the pinnacle of their career.
Yeah.
And
Meanwhile, Patrick Stewart goes on to be Professor X, and
right.
he's literally in a Marvel movie in a month from now. So.
Yeah. So yeah.
Allegedly,
yes.
No, he is. He's in the movie. He confirmed.
Allegedly.
But nevertheless, Patrick Stewart is a force to be reckoned with. He's a recognized talent,
Right?
And whereas the rest of them, not so much. And so I don't think that that's a huge cost, especially if you look at the cost of these shows, right? If you look at the cost of these. By the way, you got another super chat if you want to.
From Birdo Prey 5, $2. Thank you, sir. Michael Dorn has done more Trek than Stewart.
That's true, but that's still just Trek.
Yeah, it's Trek.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so you did Deep Space Nine as well as TNG.
Yeah, Bird of Prey. Name one other thing Michael Dorn's been in. Just one. And I'll give you a while. You can answer at the end of the stream. Go ahead.
I think he was in Star Trek Renegades, the web series.
But you get what I'm saying, all right? So I don't think the cast cost is the issue. I mean, just being real. However, from what I've heard from behind the scenes stuff with Doug Drexler and those guys, they are fixing to really do some stuff when it comes to visual effects and stuff in season 3.
That'd be cool.
And if that's the case, that's going to, and really Jonathan Frakes has had a decent directing career. Talk to me about all these big projects that Jonathan Frakes has directed outside of Star Trek.
Well, he did Thunderbirds, which I'm pretty sure ruined his career.
Yeah, okay. Let's so.
Well, hey, I didn't mean to break your concentration.
Right, but you get it. I don't think the cast is the issue. I think but I do think that they're saving budget for primarily visuals.
All right, so
sorry for going on a long tangent, but you had two super chats.
It's perfectly fine. Before we get into our review of episode 6 of Picard, there's one more thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And this was something that I kind of found on Twitter this morning, and it has a lot to do with Kurtzman Trek and just kind of like the philosophy of how they do stuff.
That reminded me of
something.
So
what I want to do is I want to play this 2-minute clip for you guys, and this is the writer and director of Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
This is probably
he's talking about his Khan miniseries that. Alex Kurtzman kind of tapped him for. So I want to get
Star Trek line that I always wanted to pursue. In fact, I did pursue. Was about what happened to Khan.
Oh wow, Nick Meyer
on CD Alpha 5 after Kirk marooned him there. As we remember from the episode Space Seed, Khan tried to take over the Enterprise after being rescued in space with his followers, who were genetically engineered supermen from the late 20th century. And he tried to repay Kirk's hospitality by hijacking his ship. The hijacking was ultimately foiled, and Kirk marooned Khan and his followers on a lovely planet, and sort of give him a chance to put his utopian dictatorship into place. And the episode ended with them saying, well, it'd be interesting to see what we planted here to come back one day. Space Seed. And then, of course, we know from watching The Wrath of Khan that things went horribly wrong when a nearby planet exploded, threw CD Alpha 5 out of its orbit, and turned the planet into a wasteland. And then when Terrell and Chekhov show up, Khan makes his escape, and he's very, very angry. Admiral Kirk, never bothered to check on our progress, etc. And so Alex Kurtzman said to me, what about doing a 3-night or 3-hour line that I always wanted to pursue. In fact, I did pursue. And so Alex Kurtzman said to me, what about doing a 3-night or 3-hour series, a limited series, about what happened to Khan in those intervening 15 years once he was left on the planet? And I said, gee, I thought that was a great idea. And I wrote it. And I thought it came out pretty good. And then I never heard from anybody again. It's just sitting there.
All right. So that was Nicholas Myers, the writer and director of Star Trek II.
Wrath of Khan, arguably the best.
Yeah.
No, the best Star Trek movie.
Okay, what do you mean, arguably?
yeah, the best Star Trek movie. Yeah.
So, he kind of went through his idea for like a Khan miniseries, and this was something that the rumor mill, when Kurtzman was kind of like pitching his ideas for other Star Trek shows, was kind of out there, and it seems like it's not going to happen. But I just wanted to get your guys' take. Danny, you seem to have something to say, so let's start with you. What did you think of this little video?
So I'm not a fan of Kurtzman, but I love Nick Meyer, and he Oh my God, I would love to see that. That would have been like if you put him in charge, not Kurtzman, and he did it. I think it'd be so good. But I did want to say I took a note earlier because I'm trying to be better about not interrupting people. Is it just me or is Kurt? Sorry, Vader. So you got a kick out of that. Is it just me or is Kurtzman always trying to redo original series storylines? Like, because Star Trek Into Darkness. They totally turn Khan.
That's what hacks do. Is they take stuff that other people have done and redo it badly.
And basically, and then basically Picard is like he wants to redo Star Trek 4. So I'm not surprised that he reached out to Nicholas Meyer, but I wish that it would have happened. But they probably came to. Like Nicholas Meyer probably didn't want to inject all the woke ass BS that Kurtzman wanted to put into it, and he just wanted to tell a good story. And so that if it doesn't happen, that would be my guess. Thank you, Paulie. That would be my guess. What do you guys think?
Well, let me ask you something, Brian. So, it sounds like an intriguing concept of seeing what happened in the 15 years between Wrath of Khan and Space Seed, but could there actually be like any real drama here? It would just be Khan, because the thing that made Star Trek 2 was so good was the rivalry between Khan and Kirk, right? And right here, there's like no, like it's just an environmental disaster that Khan has to lead his people through. So I'm wondering, would it really be all that interesting of a show?
No, I don't think so.
Oh wow! Sorry,
I'll tell you why. The show is called Star Trek. That's why.
Michael, do you have anything to say about that?
I gotta agree with Brian on this one. It's funny. Brian and I seem to be on the same wavelength a lot, but I as much as I absolutely love Star Trek 2. I mean, I probably have every line of dialogue of that movie memorized. I love that movie to death.
Oh, yeah. I still cry to this day at the end.
My subscribers joke that the only Star Trek that I like is Star Trek 2 and Balance of Terror, and but honestly, seeing Khan on SETI Alpha 5, it's like, okay, I could see about 15 minutes of good material. Honestly, there's them getting there, setting up camp, the big explosion, and then setting up their survival afterwards, and then what? They sit around and play checkers until the Reliant shows up.
Michael, let me ask you this question though. Hold up. The death of his wife. Come on, that'd be a good episode.
That's just him getting pissed one day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just Khan is just
I think it would be cool. I'd love to see, like they said, that just keep it like a 3-episode miniseries or a 3-hour movie.
I mean, I'm thankful that they're not talking about making it a series.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 3 hours is 2 hours too much. I mean,
okay. All right.
at most, a one-shot 1 hour. That's tops.
All right. I don't know. I feel like if you gave Nicholas Myers the keys.
Don't get me wrong. I love Nick Myers. I really do. I mean, I absolutely love what he did with Star Trek 2, and I think Star Trek 6 is
he's
the
one that
second
brought
best
in
Trek.
He brought in all the military aspect to
yes,
it, right?
And that's something that I really liked about
Yeah.
his. That's one of the reasons I think Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6 are the best of the best.
Yeah, no,
but
they're also even numbered, so there's that.
Well, I'm not superstitious, but I do think that 2 and 6 are the best.
Yeah, I agree.
And I do think it's because Nicholas Meyer relied heavily on the naval.
Yeah.
On the naval stuff.
Well, if you think about it, it's basically like a submarine.
Right.
It's the same,
Right.
mathematics or science or whatever.
Yeah, Balance of Terror.
Yeah.
But see, Balance of Terror and Star Trek 2. That's all I love. But I just don't see. Like Brian was saying, it's supposed to be in space. It's not Planet Trek. It's not Survival Trek. And
somebody tell that to this season of Picard.
And well, that's part of the problem I have with this season of Picard.
And
And honestly, and I've gone on record saying this a few times, I'm not a big fan of post-apocalyptic survival as a genre. And so sitting there
Not a Mad
watching
Max fan.
no, I'm not. And
Okay.
watching people survive in the desert is not an exciting form of entertainment to me.
So
You might be one of the few people on Earth that agree with me that last Mad Max movie with
It's awful.
yeah, I think it's terrible. Everybody loves it. I'm like, it's basically a chase for like 2 hours. I hate that movie.
Are you
And I
talking
don't
about Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the whole concept of the movie. Was a 2-hour chase.
It was
but-
a 2-hour
but-
chase where they
but-
sidelined Mad
guys,
Max for his own
guys.
movie.
Yeah, I didn't like it for that reason.
Getting back to Star Trek, if anyone
sorry.
wants to check out our review of Mad Max Fury Road, it's on our channel. But before we get to episode 6, Matt Vader, I want to throw it to you because you're sick.
As
but,
he's calling us idiots.
Just real quickly, do you have any thoughts on all the topics we've covered so far?
I have no thoughts. I really don't. I think you guys are doing a great job today.
Oh,
Of us being idiots.
you need to. You know what? You sound really sexy like this.
I
You need
know.
to talk some more. It's like, oh yeah,
I'm gonna go fuck off into my corner and do my X-ray girl impersonation. Okay.
Wait. I got to do a quick imitation of Matt Vader today. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the chat, guys. I'm very sorry. I'm very useless today.
it's good.
I feel like death, and I'm just trying to be here for moral support.
For those who weren't here, because we have 40 plus people watching, only 20 some odd people have liked
Nice
it.
size
Smash
crowd.
that like button. Do it now. Do it now. But earlier, when we only had 9 people, I was thanking Vader for being I did an impromptu wrestling thing with my.
We're not
buddy
going to
Roland
let you
last night.
plug your channel right now.
No, I'm not plugging the
Shush,
channel.
shush.
I'm just explaining to people that last night, this is my fault. This Vader thing is my fault, and I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I just pushed myself too hard. I've been sick for 3 days, so
okay.
we're good.
Yeah.
Just
I couldn't tell
let's move
last
it on.
night.
Let's move it on. Let's move it on.
All right. So
All right.
let's talk about what everyone's here for, which is episode 6 of Star Trek Picard season 2, entitled 2 of 1 or 1 of 2, one of those things.
2 of 1.
2 of 1. So guys, before we get into this, I want to tell you a little story. Okay.
Story time with Matthew Kadish.
So last night, me and Jude went out on a date, and we went to go see this movie called The Lost City, right, with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. Great movie, by the way. I highly recommend people check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's very funny. But the opening scene of this movie, so Sandra Bullock plays a novelist, and I can relate to that. And we're seeing the scene that she's writing as the opening scene. It's like her she's playing the love interest, and Channing Tatum's playing the hero of her novel, and they're tied up in a temple full of snakes. They're surrounded by snakes. It's very Indiana Jones-ish. And the villain's there, and he's got his 2 henchmen with him. He's doing his villainous monologue. And all of a sudden, the characters kind of break character, and they're like, where did all these snakes come from? Are these your snakes? And the bad guy's like, no, they were just here in this temple. And they're like, what are all these snakes doing in an ancient temple? Who feeds them? Why aren't they biting the henchmen? They're trying to attack us, but they're not attacking the henchmen. You got one guy with
They're asking audience questions.
Yes, they're asking audience questions, and then it cuts back to Sandra Bullock in her little office where she's writing, and she's like, none of this makes any sense, and she deletes the scene, and so she starts over again. Okay. And I'm sitting there watching that, and I'm like, that's happened to me so many times where I'll come up with a scenario that I'm writing for one of my novels, and I'll sit there and I'll be like, wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. And so I'll go back and I'll try to either justify the stuff that doesn't make any sense by creating a reason why it's like that, or I'll remove it and come up with something better. But it's, doing that's hard because it's actual writing, it's work. Mm-hmm. And it struck me that no one in the writer's room of Picard does this ever. So one of the things that made me apoplectic about watching episode 6, okay, because it's all about this stupid party that they're going to, and they have to Ocean's 11 their way into it. But there's this writing technique called lamp shading, that I don't know if a lot of you guys are familiar with. And this is basically a technique where the writers know that there's a problem with the plot, like there's a plot hole. And so they have the characters address it in the episode or the movie or like whatever, to explain it away in some way, shape, or form. And so
like hanging.
Like what?
I've heard that in the exact same reference. It's like I haven't heard it as lampshading. I've heard it as hanging.
Every time you use a like a big word,
like hanging. I'm sorry, I'm mumbling right now.
No, it's okay. That people don't know, like apoplectic. You should do like the more you know, and then just at the bottom have the definition. Because I think that's so funny. Because you do like I love.
Well, I mean, like I just like I'll get like a brain aneurysm thinking about it. But the
I also don't know what that means.
The idea
apoplectic
here,
is overcome with anger.
Danny,
sorry.
Danny, let me finish.
Sorry.
So this idea of lamp shading is basically like in the previous episode where they're talking about how they have to infiltrate the special party in order to get to Renee Picard to keep her from choosing not to go on this like mission. They say like, okay, we're gonna. There's high security in this party, and Rios is like, okay, why don't we just teleport in? And not Laris is like, well, it's more complicated than that. And then she goes to talk about all the security measures, but they never say why they can't just teleport in, right? And that's lamp shading, where they kind of like dismiss the first thought of the audience, which is like, just teleport in there. You don't need to do all this other stuff. And then they start talking about how like the way that you get in is you have like a little wristband that has a radio wave attached to it that gets scanned and connects to an air-gapped database that has your entire history in it, and it verifies your identity, and then like you can be let in. And then once you're past that level of security, facial recognition kicks in, and all the cameras in the area are scanning people's faces to make sure they are who they say they are, and all that other stuff. And it kind of bothered me a little bit when I saw the last episode, because that was the ending of the last episode. But in this episode, it really freaking bothered me. And I just want to kind of go through this real quick and get your guys' thoughts on this type of thing. So it was established when we first got introduced to Not Laris that she can possess people, the guys with the white eyes, and make them do pretty much whatever she wants. So my first question is, why didn't she possess some of the security people to get that stick into the security office and just plug it in that way? Why did they need to go and get Jurati in there? Second of all, why couldn't they just teleport into the security room and use that little pass-out gas device that Jurati had in her stockings to knock them out and then put that thing in there? Okay. Second of all, if you, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have a network of security cameras linked to an air-gapped system, the infrared laser that the security cameras use to bounce stuff off, that's a communications form. And so hackers are actually able to use infrared light if they aim it at the infrared light in the cameras, which we see in this episode, to actually hack into the air-gapped system, because it's a way of accessing that system.
I feel like Vader should talk on this, right? Isn't this, because this is what you do for a living, right?
Actually, I'm a coder, and you're actually completely right. But you can only do very rudimentary stuff with a IR.
Well, considering the fact that they're from the future and they have tech that can like scan brainwaves and all this other shit,
that's fair.
I mean, there's definitely a way that they could have done that. But in
Stop
addition,
proving how much of a better writer you are.
In addition to that, so the La Sirena has hologram technology. Why couldn't they create holograms of their faces to fool the facial recognition system? There was a lot of stuff about this Ocean's 11 thing that didn't make any freaking sense, right? Especially the fact that like you have Jurati who infiltrates the security room in order to get that data stick in there to upload their fake identities, and Picard and Rios are in line, and they get up there and they know that she hasn't completed her mission yet, and they're getting their stuff scanned. It's like, couldn't you wait until Jurati radioed you and said, hey, the coast is clear? Like,
but tension. You need tension.
It was the creation of fake tension there.
Yeah. Like, come on.
And it just didn't make any sense, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, there was a lot of things in this episode that just drove me up the wall because they didn't make any freaking sense. It was all very contrived.
Can I answer you, though, on why they couldn't just beam in with the and put it in there? because then we wouldn't see the red dress, man.
Dude, oh my God. I was waiting for somebody to bring that up. Like,
Come on.
What is with you two and that stupid red dress?
How else do you get the red
come
dress?
On, Vader, come on. You're always talking about
I'm sorry, Vader.
I don't find her attractive.
I don't either.
I'm
but
sorry.
Man,
I don't care what kind of dress she's wearing. But
I was like, oh my God.
She doesn't do anything for me, so I think you guys are kind of whack right now.
All right, fine, whatever, man.
Okay.
Like, hey, I wasn't looking at her face. I was looking at that dress.
Well, I mean, like she could show up to the party in the red dress if she wanted to. But I wanted to throw this to you, Michael. What do you think? Like, couldn't there have been a smarter way that they could have set this thing up?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think the entire concept of the party was a mistake. Not that they couldn't have done a party gathering type thing to do this, but instead of having this closed off affair with uber tight security like they did, instead you make it a public affair where everybody at the gathering was a well-known public person. So, for example, if it's an estate or it's a state dinner, right? Like, let's say that it's something like, the Presidential Press Corps dinner, right? Except that it's for astronauts, right? Then everybody there would be a known public figure. Now it's a lot more difficult to infiltrate because you can't just, hack a system and put your fake ID into the system to get in, because everybody knows who everybody's supposed to be. And so you can't just type in a name into a computer database to fake your way in.
Well, I think we should point out that this entire episode was basically just like them at a party. And
right.
It was so dumb.
But I'm just saying, like, there are ways to, like, if you want them sneaking around at a gathering kind of thing, you could do that without having to resort to them trying to tech the way, because they have 25th century tech dealing with 21st century computers, which means they have an automatic win card. Right. So because my problem here is that it doesn't matter, no matter what they want to say, no matter how good a security system. I don't care. Matt Vader, you can be the best security guy on planet Earth. And Brian, you could be the best coder ever. And the two of you could be working together 24/7. I've got 25th century crap level computer. I win.
You're 100% correct.
Right? There's no way.
Go ahead,
I just wanted to say my initial thoughts when I was sitting here watching this episode was that it reminded me of what they used to do. Well, I mean, it's a Star Trek thing where it's like, if they want to save money, we do a canned holodeck episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this episode reminded me of. It reminded me of something that was all being done in a holodeck, because it was just so dumb.
So, Brian, let me ask you this. Why didn't not Laris just possess a bunch of the security people and upload their stuff to the air-gapped network?
Well, I do think that there might be an actual reason there for that. She doesn't want to interact with people. She doesn't want to be exposed. Even when she met with Picard, it wasn't direct. It was very sort of indirect. I don't know if she wants people with white eyes walking around the party. I don't think she feels comfortable that way. But that is also a stretch. I realize that. I'm just trying to give her a reason. You're right. She probably just could have possessed
Did anybody else notice she spoke Romulan in this episode?
Yes, I did notice that.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back and rewatched it today with the subtitles on just to catch that.
Yeah.
And although when it did say that, she was basically
murmuring.
all she did was go. Tsh. That's all she said when it said
like,
speaking Romulan.
It was like it seemed like almost like a subconscious thing, like she didn't even realize it, kind of thing. So, what do you guys think that means?
Well, Picard definitely picked up on it. Right?
Yeah, he did.
That look that he had.
Yeah. What do you guys think that means? Do you think that means anything, or?
I feel like they're setting us up for something, because the Romulan keypad, like all these little Easter eggs. Like
Yeah.
either they're Easter eggs, just like for the keen-eyed fans,
Or they're
or
trolling
they're
us.
actually part of the story. And,
Yeah, right.
And listen, a good writer, this is how he or she would do it. Little tiny little details to sort of like lead you there instead of totally foreshadowing. But I don't know if I want to give him that much credit.
Kadish, what do you think as a writer? Do you think this means anything? Or like, do you have any expectations of it? Or
I think they're setting up some type of twist here. But I just want to say, you guys are obsessed with the red dress. I was obsessed with the Orla Brady. She looked freaking good in this episode.
Yeah, Renee
not
Picard.
Not Laris.
Yeah.
Oh,
she did
dude,
look good.
they're doing something to her face because like she looks way younger than she did as a Romulan. That or they made her look older as a Romulan because she's gorgeous, dude. Like I totally agree.
She was in that tight cocktail dress and she had the
She
long
is
hair.
quite a fetching, handsome
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she is a very handsome
agreed.
woman. But you know, there was just so much about this episode not to like. I do want to point out the one part that I did like, which was when Picard finally gets to talk to Renee, and he has this little speech about fear and not letting fear dictate your actions. And I thought that out of all the crap that we've been through the last
That was a very
4
Picard
episodes,
moment.
that was the moment that stood out to me as like the entire series should be stuff like this.
Exactly.
I want
That
to
was
see
the
Picard giving wisdom to people.
yes.
Yeah.
That was the most Picard thing they've done so far in this season. It was that moment, and you could tell like, when he there was the one part where he got choked up. He was thinking about his mom. You remember the part when he was talking to her? And I was like, man, like, why can't this whole show be like that? Why do we have all this other BS going on? But
So one of the scenes I wanted to point out to you guys, as well as that Picard scene, is there's a scene where basically Rafi and Rios get together, and Rios is talking about all the stuff he loves about the 20th century.
Good stuff.
And all the good stuff, like he's never seen matches before.
he's got a real cigar.
Yeah, he's got a real cigar instead of a replicated one, although I don't know what the difference is. So like the idea here is that they're setting up Rios to stay behind.
Dude, that's what I said yesterday. Did I not call that Brian?
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to see, do you guys think that's what they're doing?
May I speak on this?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this is exactly what I said yesterday, because they're doing the Star Trek 4 thing, but instead of bringing her to the future, because they established that the doctor lady has a kid and he's attracted to her, they're setting up him staying behind. I 100% think that's what's going to happen. And yeah, everybody else can talk now. I just wanted to get that out.
What do you think of that, Brian?
I mean, I tend to agree. I feel like that's what's happening, and it sort of bums me out because, like I've said countless times now, Rios is probably my favorite of the new characters.
Yeah, he's my favorite this season, easily. Yeah,
Michael.
So,
Well, I've already said I think it's the Star Trek 4 thing, but they're just doing the Star Trek 4 thing where they're going to bring the doctor to the future to help repopulate Mexicans in the future.
Oh God.
Oh my God. Jesus, man.
Cannot let it go.
So we got to talk about what is arguably the worst scene in any Star Trek series ever, which is the murder doctor doing a musical number in order to distract the security from getting to Picard. Now, we talked a little bit about lamp shading earlier, and we had an entire episode where they used a tricorder to create an EMP that like knocked out a bus.
I can answer that question.
And
if you just put it on the screen.
And so the idea here is that the Borg Queen uses her nanites to create a small EMP pulse that knocks out the lights just when Picard's about to be taken in by security. And Murder Doctor comes out and does a musical number that the band instantly knows and starts playing, and somehow she knows some type of like 20th century song.
Are we going to have a repeat of our conversation?
We're about to have a repeat of it.
Yeah, we are, but like,
it's okay. We should. It's okay. We should. Katie's sitting here.
Okay. So I want to hear what you guys thought about this scene. We're going to start with you, Michael, because I know that you wanted royalties for the Murder Doctor.
Yeah.
Thing, so.
Well, we did talk about. Okay, so I'll do the EMP part. I'll let them talk about the music part. So the EMP part, they did not actually say EMP. She did say a nano something pulse.
Yeah.
And the way that we figured that worked is that it did cut the lights, but that the spotlight she was remotely controlling and was on servos or something. So it wasn't that it was just a simple EMP cutting all the power, that she was controlling all the electrical systems in the building, and so that she was the Borg Queen was controlling
my lights and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
so the Queen was just controlling the spotlight. Now on to you guys for the music.
That's just an absolute atrocious bunch of bullshit.
Well, no, hold up. Hey, I work in a live venue as a drummer, and they have spotlights that are on like these giant.
Were they air gapped?
Scaffolding, and they are controlled via a remote that is in the sound booth 100 feet away. You know.
So were the nanites, were they controlling the trombone players and the band? And the
no, that's what we're going to get to the band.
You're so salty.
No, it's so fucking dumb, dude.
No, it's not.
Hold on.
Okay.
First off, I think nanites can do way too much stuff. That's the first thing.
And do keep in mind, she started singing first. She starts singing before the band.
Yes, she started singing before the band.
No, so
I'm actually a drummer in a live band.
You're going to take my... Okay, all right.
And often, I'm sorry, I'll let you go. But often, as a drummer, someone could start doing something I've never even heard before, and I can pick it up a couple bars in and rock and roll.
Exactly. So to answer, if you want to put that thing back up on the screen, that one... lady said that I wanted to answer. If not, that's fine. But here's the thing. Any musician, I play the guitar. Brian plays the drums. Now that I know that, we should get together sometime and just jam and show people. If you know music, and I think they did this on purpose. She sang for a good 4 or 5 measures before the band got in. And if you're, especially like a jazz band, which kind of, I got that vibe. Mm-hmm. If you're that kind of person, all you got to do is you just listen to a few bars and you're like, okay, I got this. And they follow along and they improvise. That's what jam bands do, you know.
As long as you know the key and the tempo.
Yeah, you know.
I don't really care that like the band picked up on her song or like whatever. What I care about is the fact that this scene happened to begin with. Like,
I agree,
not belong.
That's fair
in a show.
Yeah,
like they could have pulled out a tricorder, created an EMP device, knocked out the lights, and escaped security that way. But instead, they have this big musical number which came out of nowhere.
Every show seems to have to do this.
I'm not a fan of the scene. Don't get me wrong. And so I'm not defending the existence of a musical number in the middle of the scene, because I don't particularly care for that either as an artistic choice. But as far as a realism choice, I don't have a problem with it.
I agree, Urim. Like that, I don't know why, but it seems like it's a trope. Every single series seems to have at least one musical episode. Have you guys noticed that? Like it's crazy.
And this isn't even the first time in Trek. I mean, come on. You know, Data's wedding gift, anyone?
Right.
Well, what was even worse is like you had like you had the other characters being like, could you believe Jurati could sing like that?
Yeah.
And they just kind of like fuck off without her at the end. Like everyone's like, where's Jurati? Oh, who cares?
Yeah. Did you see the trailer for the next episode?
No,
like,
not yet.
Okay. Well, half of that trailer is just Seven and Rafi talking about Jurati singing. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, like I felt insulted as an audience member watching this scene because it was just so stupid. It did not need to be there, and I feel like that it's almost like a metaphor for all of Picard seasons 1 and 2, where it just didn't need to be there, right? But the like I want to know who in the writers' room came up with this idea. and who greenlit it and who put it in the show.
Right.
We already know Kurtzman. We already know.
I think it was Goldsman, actually. I don't think Kurtzman had a lot to do with this.
Oh, you think it was Akiva? Okay.
Locutus nipples.
But you know, one of the things that you can tell about how lampshaded this episode was is you can always tell when people put in lines that actors didn't actually say when they were shooting, because like you hear them saying and you see like the back of their head. And there are multiple instances in this episode where we see characters like, especially when Rios comes and joins Picard and not Laris in line, and they're kind of saying like why they're doing this to begin with. It's like, oh, like we have to get past the facial recognition, and like you never see them actually saying those lines. It's always reaction shots on other people. They do that constantly throughout this episode because they knew in the editing that none of this shit made sense. And so they desperately tried to make it make sense by putting in these ADR lines. And it's just so frustrating to me that like there is no smart writing in this show.
You just got to throw in some technobabble and some gobbledygook, and we'll all buy it and say, okay, that's cool, fine.
It's not even that. It's not even as basic as that. It's basically like they set up a scenario and they have to keep reminding the audience of why they're doing the stuff they're doing because it doesn't make any sense.
Because it doesn't make any freaking sense. Look, can I ask everybody here a question? Would we collectively, as Star Trek fans, would we have been happier if this series had never come out?
Yes.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
I would have been really
that's
happy.
enough said. Enough said.
No, I would have been. You know what would have made my day is if now when she comes out and she's at the top of the stairs and she starts singing, and then she starts coming down the stairs, and as she's singing, she just like starts stabbing people with an ice pick.
Full on murder doctor.
Yeah.
Full on murder doctor. So I wanted to ask you guys. So another part of this episode, and a big part, is Dr. Soon. Dr. Soon, played by Brent Spiner. He has a little confrontation with Picard at the party. Picard finds out, oh, that's Dr. Soon. And basically he runs over Picard with his car because that was the deal he made with Q. It was to stop Picard from getting his ancestor onto that
he was
thing.
supposed to hit the girl.
He was aiming for Renee.
Yeah.
Well, either or. The idea here is that Dr. Soon basically was the bad guy in this episode, and he hit Robo Picard and created all types of biological issues that they whisked him away to the immigrant free clinic, got the doctor, and blew up a refibrillator trying to get Robo Picard to come back to life. And they actually made references to all of his upgrades, quote unquote upgrades.
Everything about this was shit. Sorry.
Yeah. So I want to get your guys' take on like how Robo Picard got beat up in this episode. Brian, let's start with you. You've been kind of quiet lately.
Yeah, I don't know why the robot is so damn fragile. I hate that so much. And I know often I'm the guy trying to explain the scene to people. But like I said yesterday, I first off, I hated the fact that they opened with the whole like flashback to someone that's hurt nonsense. Like you're trying to build tension.
And they did it like 4 times.
And they did like 4 times, 3 times actually. But yes, same thing.
Sorry.
And the fact that we know Picard's not gonna actually die because the name of the show is Picard. There's a season 3. But I also
the trailer for the day before. Anyway, sorry.
But even the technical aspect of it, I don't understand. I just don't, and I can't. I'm trying to write it for them in my headcanon, and I can't figure out why Android Picard is so gosh darn fragile. I just don't
And did we? I know we talked about it yesterday, but did we ever come to a conclusion why he's an android, but he bleeds? He's got.
Yes, we did because he's the newer androids, and Doge and Soji, whatever they are, those other androids, they also bled when they fought. So that's
Okay.
Also,
red blood. It was red blood.
He gets tired really quickly too for an android. Michael, I want to hear your thoughts.
If you're just talking about the bleeding now, in season 1, when Doge fought with the guards, she was bleeding on her head. So
red blood.
Michael looks
blood.
broken.
Yes, red blood.
He does, right?
All right. So I'm going to try not to break my microphone here. So, look, I'll defend what you're talking about, Brian. So to a certain extent, the Picard bleeding and fragile robot Picard, because at the I'll
I'm
actually
laughing at the comment. I'm laughing at the comment, not you.
no, that's okay. So yeah, somebody needs to reboot me. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
So at the end of season 1, they did try to say that Robo Picard was going to be basically exactly like regular Picard, except minus whatever the genetic condition that was about to kill him.
Right.
So basically he was no stronger, no tougher, no better than original Picard, except he didn't have whatever genetic condition that was about to kill him. And so
brain thing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So fine. Okay. So he's just as frail. He bleeds just as much. He's got the same basic biological components. Everything works the same way. He's a synthetic human, which
But he
means
survived getting hit by a car.
well, but
At 90 years
I'm just pretending that 90-year-olds from the 25th century are very virile 90-year-olds.
None of that
Servable.
matters. He's a freaking android.
Will you
Come
shut
on.
up for a minute, Danny?
Let's let Michael finish it.
Yes. For now,
I'm just going to mute myself.
that's not what has me on the verge of an aneurysm here. So I'll grant all that. I'm okay with I'll grant that. Okay, he bleeds red. He can break bones. He has a heart that's indistinguishable from a human heart for the most part. He has body fluids and all that crap. I fine. I'm absolutely fine. He's just a very virile 90-year-old as far as anybody can tell. Whatever. Fine. I just can't get past one line of dialogue. Why is a 21st century free clinic doctor a better, more viable alternative than a 25th century biobed? Somebody explain that to me and I will be fine.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, I often wondered how they got him to the clinic. Like, did they teleport him there? What was Renee Picard?
I think they literally had to like scoop him up with a big spatula, and like what's.
Dude.
Yeah, because they went from just him getting hit in the car to the next scene he was at the clinic, right?
Yeah, it's like, how did they get?
And it's on the other side of town. It was like I immediately thought that same thing. How did he get there? What's going on? Did they teleport him?
Yeah, he had to look like
did
Professor
they have
Farnsworth at that
Did they have
point.
a
It's
couple
ridiculous.
cutscenes with an ambulance or something?
No.
There was nothing. They just cut from he's lying on the ground bleeding out to he's in the hospital bed.
It was like a cutscene where they put a commercial.
Yeah, but it makes no sense because they have 25th century. I mean, think about it.
They trying to write it off with one line of dialogue where he's like, "Well, the biobed's not a doctor." I'm like,
right, but we're
whatever.
also talking about in Star Trek 4, you have little old lady who's on dialysis, and Dr. McCoy's like, it's the Spanish Inquisition. Here, take this pill and grow a kidney. And it's like, and it's like, wait a minute.
we need more bones. I miss bones.
I quit. I quit.
Yeah, no,
are these the same biobeds that couldn't save Elnor from getting shot in the shoulder?
Well, I guess
right.
so. Yeah.
So, like, I swear, if I didn't do this podcast, I wouldn't even be watching the show.
So why why did they rush them to the free clinic instead of tracking down their actual doctor, Jurati, to come and?
Yeah, isn't Jurati a freaking doctor?
Well, she is a murder doctor, so I can understand.
Well, but at
not
least she
wanting
could
to-
murder him proper.
But she was their doctor. She's their healer on the team, right?
Well,
so like why did they just like forget about Jurati?
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, nobody worry about Jurati. But she was singing, but we don't worry about it.
Well, she's gone on full Borg.
Oh wait,
now,
hey,
you know?
here's an
They don't know
idea.
that.
Here's an
Yeah,
idea.
that's true.
I know a doctor. Great, beam her to the ship. Now you got a doctor in a biobed.
Guys, you're being way too logical and reasonable about this, and these
also,
writers have no logic or reason. So,
guys,
you know.
let me ask you this: so, like when she was trying to save Picard's life, she uses a defibrillator, and and Android Picard sends feedback to blow up the defibrillator.
Yeah,
and then he's fine. But like I'm like, how does this work exactly? Because
yeah. Why did that?
as you said, Michael, like he's supposed to be like a regular 90-year-old, and yet he can survive getting hit by a car, and he gives electrical feedback
to a defibrillator.
So here's the thing: I work on computers. Sometimes if you just smack the damn thing, it works. That's kind of how I looked at that. It was just like the Russian, the Russian way of fixing stuff, just smacking it, you know. So that was the least of my concerns
on this podcast, Andy.
You know what would have been
sorry.
great? you know what would have been really awesome is if after Sung pulled off and Picard was lying on the ground, if you would have been lying there going, error, error.
See, we are writing a better show than these guys are. Come on.
So the taking Picard to the free clinic thing also led to one of the worst scenes, I think, in this episode, which is basically just when I didn't think I could hate Raffi more. They have her arguing against going in and saving Picard's brain,
Right?
Because not Laris is basically like, well, I can do the reverse of me taking over someone's consciousness, go in there, find out why he's like not waking up, and bring him back. And Raffi's sitting there like, no, don't do that,
Dude.
Can we pretty much agree that every time Raffi opens her mouth, she's going to say whatever she says is the wrong thing?
Yeah, it's
Every
gone from me
single time.
hating Jurati the most to hating Raffi the most. Like,
It's crazy though.
yeah.
Actually. I don't even understand.
Somebody give her the space weed again so she can
Right?
mellow out.
Did you see she turned down the offer of the cigar from Rios earlier? where
And the
she's like,
drink,
"Oh,
she
I
turned down a
Yeah, she
drink.
turned down the
Somebody
drink.
needs to give her drugs now.
Something. You know, the problem
Calm her
is they
down,
made her
yeah.
lesbian, and she really just needs a good deep dicking. So,
Oh, wow.
Super inappropriate. Jesus.
Wow. banned.
Yeah. I can't.
stream
I
just
can't
got
even.
canceled.
I hope your
understand-
mom's not here, man.
She's not here. That's
All right,
why.
I actually-
let's
I don't
let's
even
let
understand
Brian
Kevin
talk.
Smith
Let's
quote.
let
Come on.
Brian talk. Brian,
Yeah.
what were you saying?
I'm sorry. I don't even understand the logic behind objecting to saving his life. Like, what? She can't even explain why is it that she is so against it.
Pronouns, pal. Who's she? Who are you talking about?
Raffi,
Raffi.
man.
Okay,
Raffi.
thank you. Sorry.
Why is
Are you a
Raffi-
biologist? Do you know?
Why? I'm not.
Sorry.
I'm not a biologist. Why is Raffi so against it? Like, I don't understand, and I can't. I've been trying to like figure out what is she traumatized or something?
No, there was no precedent set by
There's
why
no
she's.
reason
Yeah.
for her to be against not Laura saving her life.
Yeah.
She's
It was-
literally
it was-
the stupidest Starfleet officer I think I've ever seen.
Not even that, but the most disrespectful. Like we were talking about a week or two ago. Like anybody who served in the military, if you had somebody like Raffi talk to their commanding officer the way she talks to Picard, they would no longer be serving in that military, right? Like this is
Yeah, they
ridiculous.
they
Yeah,
wouldn't be.
like, yeah.
Hey, I got an idea. Let's introduce Raffi to Will Smith.
He has hair. He has very nice
Smack
hair.
my bitch up.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
like the whole Raffi thing, like at this point, so like she keeps seeing like images of Elnor, and I'm wondering like we never got the sense that she was like all that close with Elnor.
Right, what is
until
that?
it happened.
Like,
Yeah, that was like so out of nowhere. Like we're
yeah, she was close with Picard.
yeah.
Like I could understand that if Picard died.
I
You
don't
know?
understand. Like that really does piss me off so much. And we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago. Like, where did that connection come from? She acts like she's his mother, as upset as she gets. And she's having this PTSD thing because this is a real thing. Because I have PTSD, and I've been going to therapy for it for a long time. This hasn't happened in years, but I used to see my best friend's, he's dead, but I used to see him, like hallucinate him. So that's a
Right.
real thing. So I appreciate what they're doing, but why is she, like, they never explain the connection between her and Elnor, and it just
all these characters seem a lot more familiar with one another than I think the audience feels they should be. Like, I don't feel like season 1 created like this strong bond between them to the point where like they're like the TNG crew. Like the TNG crew have bonds.
Right, it's like we're in season 7 of Picard.
Yeah. It's funny. I said something about that yesterday. Like, the problem with rushing, you have these big epic storylines, and you have 10 episodes. You're trying to rush the story. You're trying to rush the character development. You're trying to rush the friendships, and we don't buy it because we haven't seen 5 seasons of Sam and Dean beating up demons or whatever.
Well, they could have even given us a montage or like flashbacks or something.
Well, I mean, like, if you just think about it like this, right? If Rafi was instead being played by Gates McFadden, Beverly Crusher, and it was Wesley who died, I could understand these things as opposed to Rafi.
But even like 100%. based on season 1, if it was Picard, I would buy that with Elnor's relation.
I'd buy that even more because they
with Rafi's relationship with Picard, you got that feeling.
They also got that feeling. Is this what you're saying? You also got that feeling with Picard and Elnor, right?
Yeah, with Picard and Elnor and Picard and Rafi, you saw that relationship. But Rafi and Elnor, there was no chemistry there.
All of that happened in between season 1.
Right. It was like there was no connection between them, and then all of a sudden, bam! And at the beginning of the first episode of season 2, in one episode, we're supposed to establish that. Oh, by the way, they're besties now.
Yeah,
and not only besties, but she's adopted him as a surrogate son.
Yeah,
and it's like what? How? Wait a minute. You need to spend more than 10 minutes to establish this.
It wasn't even 10 minutes, but
yeah. This is an issue when you do relationship building off screen, which is also a sign of bad writing. But speaking of bad writing, I want to talk about another thing that gave me a brain aneurysm when I was watching the show. So Dr. Data. I'm just going to call him Dr. Data because I can't remember the name.
Soon.
So he comes home and, not Soji is there. And he's like, I tried to save you, but I failed. So I just ran over Picard.
That seems
I'm going to go fuck off. And then not Soji finds his workstation. And it's like she's never Googled her father before. And so she starts Googling him and finds out that he's like a mad scientist. And then like his unpassword protected computer is right there, and she starts looking at all these files, and we find out that he's been doing these genetic experiments trying to clone like humans. Hold on a second, Danny. Trying to clone humans, and she is just the last in a long line of failed clones, which is one of the reasons why she has all these genetic defects. And she's not his actual daughter; she's just like this creation. And the whole notion that she was just able to go in and look this stuff up on his computer fucking blew my mind. I was like, Jesus Christ, you never have, you're almost a grown woman. You never have to leave the house. Learn some fucking hacking skills to like get into this thing instead of it just being there and watching it. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the scene. Danny, you seem to have something you want to say. So we'll start.
Oh, well, I actually just wrote the note, but thank you. So this is a question I posed yesterday. Do you think Not Soji is a female clone version of him, or he actually did have a daughter, she died, and he cloned her, and that's why, like, she's a bad copy of a copy, and that's why he can't? Because I'm kind of leaning toward he had a real daughter, and then that made him crazy, and he cloned the real daughter, but because the clone that he made was of a broken clone or a broken person, the clones would be worse, and that's why he kept having all these different problems. What do you guys think about that? That was my theory on that.
No.
I think it's so poorly constructed and put together, it doesn't even matter, and nobody gives a shit.
No, I don't think it's either one. I think that I think that Soon is obsessed with playing God, and that she is a creation from scratch.
I hope they address this, because I think it would be a much better story and it'd be way more impactful, and it would give us more of his motivation. If
Well, you're right, but they
Is-
haven't
if-
set that up.
yes, I know, and they actually, in my opinion, I think we talked about this yesterday. They ruined that character by making her a clone of whatever, and like not just a clone, like the 30th or 40th clone. Like, I mean, they show him go through.
It's this failure that leads him to create, stuff like Data, right? Like the android.
Yes.
as opposed
Well,
to
not him, but his ancestors. Because this is too.
No, his clone, according to my theory. Thank you.
Yeah. I totally buy that. By the way,
I'm telling you, it would like the only thing that'll save this for me. I'll think this is complete garbage, unless they reveal that, because she's going to confront him about everything she found out, and if he's like, "Look, I had a daughter, and she died, and I couldn't accept it, so I cloned her." And yes, you might be the 40th, but I love you just as much as I loved her. And you've lasted the longest. And it's going to be by hook or by crook, I am going to save you.
It's obvious he doesn't care about her, though. Like that whole
is
scene
it though? Because like no,
that whole scene where he comes home, all he cares about
he's
is
already
his life's
given up
work.
on her.
He
Yeah,
cares about his life's work. He doesn't care about her in particular.
Mhm.
See, I didn't catch.
He's watched
I didn't.
dozens of them die
Yeah.
at this point. He doesn't.
Yeah,
have to
and
look-
he said it to her. He said, and I can't believe I'm gonna lose you. My life's work. That's what he said to her.
I okay. So I'm gonna let this play out, but I'm a father, and I feel like I don't know. I
Stu's
didn't
a
see it that way.
psychopath, though.
Especially, yeah, fair enough. Are you calling me a psychopath?
No, I'm not calling you a psychopath.
Oh, okay.
I said Soon's a psychopath, so
Okay.
he doesn't have actual emotional feelings
Dude, the
towards these
episode-
people.
Right.
He looks at them as his work, as his project, as his legacy. That's what he
come
cares
on!
about.
That episode, was it last episode, the one before, where he's like, "Let's just enjoy the win." He looked like he was like, "This is a father. He's got genuine love for." Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a softie because of my kids, but I don't know. I haven't given up on him yet. It just like I need to see where it goes.
Well, he's a villain, right?
But villains don't know they're villains. They think they're the hero. And
True, but I mean, like he
perception's
just ran over
reality.
Picard.
Yeah, but no, and he showed remorse for it.
He didn't show any remorse. He felt remorse.
Yes, he did. No, he said
because he failed the task Q gave him, and now he's not going to be able to save his life's work.
He felt forced into it, but
I don't know, man. Guys, like I'm telling you, I wish we could show the clip, but CBS would take this video down. Apparently, he says to his daughter, like he didn't realize something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing, like he didn't realize what he was capable of doing, and to me that was him showing remorse. Like
Danny, you really have to go back and rewatch that scene because he doesn't care about not Soji at all.
Yeah.
He didn't care about any of those kids that he created that ultimately ended up dying. He is obsessed with his work. He's the mad scientist. He's the antagonist. He's the bad guy.
I'll rewatch that, but like
he's incredibly selfish.
okay,
Like he really doesn't care about not Soji at all. Like he just cares about the results. That,
he cares about
her
his
surviving
life's
exists.
work. That
Yeah.
was his words.
what's up for debate, Amanda? Everybody, okay. I guess I'm on the losing side of this argument. No, it's all good. I'll show
Well,
you.
you're entitled to think what you think. We just think that you're wrong.
That's fine. That's not
but I
personal.
wanted to get Brian's thoughts on this. Brian, did it bother you that like he just had his video diary there, not password protected, anyone could access it? The fact that she's home constantly, like he doesn't like lock his lab office, and she's never Googled her father before or anything like that.
Yeah, it was literally the first thing I thought was like she's stuck in that room all day long and she's never used that computer. Because I would have been on that computer 10 minutes after the dude left.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And the sad thing is, everybody knows the pin to my computer is 6373. So oh shit, did I just say that out loud? Can we
Yes,
can
you
we
did.
delete that? Can we?
Oh, we're
now-
live, Danny.
Now I got to change my pin.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody in my house accesses all of my stuff all the time. It's ridiculous. So
But I mean like the whole concept here that this is a girl who's a shut-in because she's allergic to sunlight, and she's never all she has to the outside world, her only connection is like the internet, and she's never Googled her father before or knows like what he's up to.
yeah, that was really hard to believe, honestly.
Michael, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to look at what Soon said. He says, "I'm going to lose you, my life's work." That's what he said to not Doge. I was just bringing up the scene.
Do you have do you have kids, Mike?
Me? Yes.
Okay.
My son is 21. My daughter is 27.
Okay, so I have 4 kids. They range from the oldest is 23, youngest is 13. And
Or no, yeah.
they are this is why I think maybe I'm being fooled or whatever, but they are my life's work. Like the best thing I've ever done is my oldest son. I am so proud of him. He works with autistic kids. He's RBT certified. He's gone to school. He's a better human than me, in my opinion. And so he feels like, so that's the way I saw it. I was like,
right,
but
but
you're a normal, compassionate human
but Soon
being.
describes it like he would describe his career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Soon is a complete sociopath.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
he's not a good person.
He
threatened to kill Q. I mean, keep this in mind. He's broken every type of like moral law that the government put in front of him to do his work. Like he is not a good person.
No, and I'm
care
sorry.
about
So because I was looking for that line of dialogue, I missed what you were asking me. What were you asking me?
Well, so I was asking you, don't you think it's weird that like Soon would leave his office open and that Soji, who's locked in all day, would just suddenly Google her father for the first time? And
Well, it's mad scientist rule number 432 that you always just leave your computer. You either have a password that's so easy to guess that someone in the movie is going to guess it just by knowing some tertiary fact about you.
or you're a dumbass like me and you announce it live on the internet.
Yeah,
Now I
it's
have
a
to change
dog's
it.
name.
Yeah. I know, try megalomaniac. It's like it's always something stupid like that in the movies, Oh, wait, he likes going to the Alps. Try Alps. It's like something stupid.
Wasn't that
like
in Batman Returns? That's how Catwoman figured out Shrek's password.
Wait, he's a mad scientist. Try password.
Yeah. They always do something stupid like that. So the fact that he didn't even have a password, it's like, why bother even, because all that she would end up doing would be like, you know what they would do? They would seriously do this. His password would be something coy like data, or even better,
Not that clever.
or even better, data lore.
Data lore. Oh,
That would be the password,
Or before data lore.
Yeah, before data lore.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys about the part of this episode that a lot of people seem to like for some reason. I don't really know why, and that is basically the relationship between Jurati and the Borg Queen, and the Borg Queen ultimately taking over Jurati at the end.
Yes.
Brian, let's start with you. What did you think of this little development, and why do you think people are responding so well to the Borg-Rati storyline?
Borg-Rati.
Because the Borg Queen's awesome. I don't know what to tell you. It's a cool character. It's a really cool character, and seeing the Borg. I hate the fact that we're in the stupid 21st century right now, wasting our time when we can go back to space. But if we have to be here, unleash a Borg Queen upon an unsuspecting population. That sounds like fun.
And LA sure deserves it.
And LA definitely deserves it. In fact, you know what? You know what's funny? It'd be a cleaner place if the Borg took over.
Michael, what are your thoughts on the Borg-Rati subplot?
I like it. I do think they've used Jurati a lot better this season. I think pairing her up with the Borg Queen has made both Jurati and the Borg Queen interesting. And I have something that I've been waiting. I have these notes here so I wouldn't forget to mention this. I've been waiting for you to mention the Borg Queen this whole time because I have something to say for all you people that want to argue about the 750 Borg Queen theories, about how there's a different Borg Queen for this and a different Borg Queen for that. And there's been at least a bunch of different Borg Queens because different actresses have played the Borg Queen.
Get to it, man. We get it. We get it.
Right.
Come on.
Is that 2 lines of dialogue from this episode confirm there's only one Borg Queen, and that is this Borg Queen says, I, not someone else, miss Locutus.
Yes.
And Jurati responds with, I'm 100% sure he does not miss you.
Yes.
All right. There is one and only one.
One Borg Queen.
Borg Queen.
100% agree with you, man. Like, you know, sometimes you have to recast, and it wasn't like the original actress. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. Didn't want to do this. She was just doing something else.
Right.
So she couldn't. So they recast it. You know, it's like because the original one came back for Voyager. It's not like she doesn't want to do that character. I mean, come on. You know.
Well, let me ask you guys. So basically, the Borg Queen said that because of Jurati's stress hormone, she couldn't fully take her over. But with the endorphin high of singing, now she's like, okay, now I'm going to drive for a while, and she kind of like
body chemistry allowed her to take. Well, because she was weak in her system or whatever, not enough nanoprobes.
It's kind of a Hulk thing if you think about it.
Well, in this episode, we're revealed that Jurati knew that she was going to allow herself to take on the Borg Queen's nanites because you know, she needed to save that police officer, and that this was like a stopgap measure for her in order to you know, kind of like save the mission.
And still get them back home.
Yet she didn't tell any of her crew members about it.
Yeah.
So Murder Doctor again is trying to murder everyone, basically.
Pretty much. She's Murder Doctor.
I don't think so. I think she's just like, if you look at it from like a human standpoint, she's afraid to tell them what she did, is what I think. You know, especially because of what she did last season. You know, it's like, damn, because she has that excuse of like, it's how she got off, right? Like I was mind controlled by somebody. I wouldn't know.
Well, maybe she thinks she can control it and she doesn't want to jeopardize the mission.
But you would think that she would tell her crew what's up so that they could prevent shit from like what happened with her getting taken over from actually happening.
Yeah, they're gonna. They would sideline. They would sideline her though.
Yeah,
and deservedly so.
Yeah,
right?
that's why she's not saying anything. This is the least of my.
But you see, I think it sets up a couple of. Well, first of all, I think Jurati not telling him, I think, makes sense.
Exactly, Stanley. Oh my God, me and Brian all day yesterday. Like
that's all they would talk about. I do think it makes sense because I think Jurati is overconfident in her, partially because she was able to swipe that information from the Queen.
Hey guys, real quick before we move on with this, Matt Vader is not feeling well. He has to go on. Vader, say goodbye to everyone and hope you feel better.
You're kicking me out? Okay.
No, we're kicking you out, bro. We're not kicking. No,
I'm starting to fade. But
okay,
I want to say just really quick. Well, as you guys continue on, I want to say thank you to the chat for hanging out with us, everybody today. We're in the 50s right now, and that is a record for us. And much love to all of you guys for hanging out with us for real. And I want to say thank you to you guys for coming in and talking to us every week. And I'm going to go. And Matt, I hope you can continue on with the show. And you guys talk all day. Have a good time.
Vader, I said it in our private chat, but I love you, man. And I hope you feel better.
I know.
I need
to go shake this crap. So
yeah, get some sambucas from. I'm serious, from Sprouts. Yeah. Sambucas.
I'll have the wife pick some up on her way home.
Yeah. So try it.
Love you,
buddy. All right, guys.
Feel better.
Get out of here. Okay.
All right. So let's go around. Let's go around the panel and get final thoughts on episode 6 of Star Trek Picard. We'll start with you, Michael. What did you think of this episode overall, and how would you rate it?
I said this yesterday on the Popcast Live. Remember, everybody, you should be subscribed to the Popcast Live if you're not already.
You're so good at that.
Much love to the Popcast guys, but it's this episode. I felt much how Danny felt about episode 3. It didn't hurt the series for me, but it didn't help the series for me. It was just kind of there. There were some fun things about the episode. There were some crap things about the episode. I liked actually the Borg Queen stuff. I liked the Rio stuff. Every time Raffi was on screen, I was throwing things at my screen.
I've never yelled at my TV so much in my life.
I really, but also it was the most Jean-Luc that we've seen all season. So
especially the scene with his
yeah,
super great aunt or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
But then we got the robot frying the defibrillator. So it's like it had highs and lows. So it was like,
They kind of cancel each other out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, let's move on and pretend this episode just didn't happen.
All right. So Danny, what are your final thoughts on this episode, and how would you rate it?
Put up Stan Lee's latest comment, and I have to echo that sentiment because, this show is like, back in the day when I was a kid, shows were 20 to 30 something episodes, a season, and now we're lucky to get 8 to 10. And if you're gonna condense it down, I don't need any filler. I don't need any BS. I need like good stuff. And this has just been like, I mean it, guys. Like, I love you, but fuck you. Like, why? Like, I would stop watching the show if I didn't have to hate watch it for this, for this podcast, because like, it is destroying my love of Captain Picard. And I'm just glad they haven't done this to Kirk, because like all you effers out there who are like,
Strange New Worlds coming soon.
Well, yeah, right. You're like Kirk or Picard right now. I'm like Kirk all the way, baby. Like, whereas before I'd had to, I don't know, man. Like, but like they're just crapping all over. I'm trying to be more PG. They're crapping all over the Picard's legacy, and then the new rules they've set up don't even make sense. Like, he's a android, but getting hit by a car can like mess him up. And then they try to explain it. Oh, he's not really messed up. It's a mental thing. Well, if it's none of it makes any damn sense to me. So and that goes back to the trailer they dropped for season 3. I think that's specifically for people like me, because so again, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I would just stop watching the show, and then when season 3 comes out, I'd give it a chance because I'm a huge TNG fan. You know what I mean? And I think that's what they were trying to do. So,
all right. And Brian, what are your thoughts on this episode, and how would you rate it?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same wavelength as Mike and Danny. There's 10 episodes. We don't need any bottle episodes when there's 10 episodes. I don't think the studio needs to make filler bottle episodes or anything like that when there's 10 episodes. It should just be 10 rock star, hit the ground running, amazing television, when you literally have to make 10 episodes, not 20, not 24.
Testify.
And that seems to be the way it's going now, which sort of sucks. But it is what it is. Can't control it. And on the same note, I can take it or leave this episode. It was fine. It was also not fine. It was like, it's still better than the 2 random episodes where they just sort of wasted time preaching about immigration.
Yeah.
It feels like the last 3 to 4 episodes have been filler episodes.
Only good episodes were the first 2, and then they crushed our hopes after that, in my opinion. But
yeah, like honestly, like I finished watching this episode and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I felt insulted having watched this episode. I feel like I was honeypotted into watching this season. Honestly, after how bad the first season was, I didn't even want to watch this season, but because we're doing this podcast, I agreed to do it. And the first 2 episodes kind of gave me, remember I said I was cautiously pessimistic.
Yeah.
And now that pessimism is being fully enforced, because it feels like 2 different writers came on board here, where like the first 2 episodes were like one writer, and then the next couple episodes were someone completely different who
I have a theory on that.
Cared about agendas and Ocean's 11 and like all this other bullshit. But the thing that got me the most about this episode was just how stupid every aspect of it was. Like no one actually sat down and thought through any of this stuff.
Did you notice this was the shortest episode? Also, time-wise?
Oh yeah, it was like 40 minutes. Like
no, it wasn't
minutes.
even. It was 38, including credits. So the actual runtime of the show, if you take out the the shit at the beginning and the end was 32
Oh,
minutes.
thank you for the $1, by the way.
Oh, God. Is that 35 now? Is that 35 now? I've been trying so hard to be PG. I dropped one.
Doing good. Gotta get this guy a new computer, man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, like this is probably not the worst episode, but it's very close to being the worst episode of the season for me so far, and we're not even done with the season. Yeah. But before we wrap things up, we have an official trailer for Strange New Worlds that dropped.
I actually
today.
Really like.
Oh, another one for that's dropped today.
Well, not today. It dropped a few days ago.
Like,
but this is the official trailer with all the bad hairdos, and I really think that this show needs to fire whoever is their hairdresser, because every hairdo in this show is ridiculous.
Hair aside, you were the one last night saying, or 2 nights ago, whenever it was, that Discovery got rid of every straight male character, and then in this trailer alone, they show Pike in bed clearly just after having laid the pipe. So I was like, I'm on board, But the hair is terrible. The hair is terrible. I will, yeah.
The sideburns.
And the sideburns.
The hair's
yeah.
So what wasn't this? Let's see here if I can.
Although again, this has got to be a reboot.
So look at this.
Because that right there makes it so that it has to be a reboot.
I wish they would say it. It should be like
because it has to be. Spock's first Pon farr was in Amok Time.
Yes, and we agree on this. But the people,
unless this is practice Pon farr.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. I'll shut up.
All right. So So like we have this episode here. We also have at the beginning of this, there was a shot, right here, where
who the hell is that?
I assume that's T'Pring.
Is that T'Pring?
I would assume so. I mean, who else would he be kissing? That's a Vulcan
I don't know.
Chick?
Because T'Pring was only in Amok Time.
Right.
So we never really.
So why wouldn't that be T'Pring? What other
I don't know,
Vulcan chick would he be making out with? He didn't
seem to be into her in Amok Time, so this, he's clearly into her if they're kissing,
and Stan Lee,
he's it would be logical.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if they have him kissing a Vulcan chick, assuming that that's not the Romulan commander,
right.
But and by the way, remember my dog here, her name is T'Pring, but
the rat face gremlin, get that out of here.
Hey, she has pointed ears.
I don't want to look at that. That abomination of animal.
Wow, jerk.
I'm just kidding.
But it would make sense that that's T'Pring, and that's a redo of Amok Time. But that means this absolutely is a reboot. Maybe Pike's hair is so messed up because he was inspired by Ensign Ortega. Because his hair looks a lot like Ortega's.
Look at that hair. Jesus Christ.
Hold up. That's like post-sex bed hair, though.
I don't know what your hair looks like after sex, Danny, but I've never seen anyone's hair look that coiffed.
It looks kind of like his. See? This is post-sex hair right here. It's all over the place,
Boldly went where many men have gone before.
Look at that. Who is that in the bed with him, by the way?
Number one.
No, that's not number one. No. I mean, Rebecca Remains Stamos is hot.
I'm kidding.
That chick was smaller, and
so
a little more Asian.
Having watched this trailer had a lot of humor to it. It had a lot of flashbangy stuff going on, introduced all the characters in a way we haven't seen them before. It was an enjoyable trailer.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just not hyped for this show. I honestly don't care because I think that Star Trek has been so irrevocably damaged by the current Kurtzman era that it's hard for me to get excited about something like this because I just know that it's going to be disappointing ultimately. Brian, I want to hear your thoughts on this trailer because you're kind of quiet.
Yeah, I like the trailer, but I hate how freaking hip everyone looks. Everyone looks like they're I call it sexy Star Trek, man. They're just all All
Well-
the men are sort of what's the word?
Ooh, go
Not-
back a
not
frame. Let me
feminine.
see his hair on the bridge.
Not feminine, but like sort of like metrosexual. Yeah,
Yeah.
metrosexual and
Like they're buying those
Okay,
ball
hold up.
shaving kits on YouTube ads.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Brought to you by
okay.
manscaped.com.
But everyone's hair in this show just looks awful, except for maybe Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah. Well, and Uhura, why did they change Uhura so drastically? I'm just.
And isn't this Khan's?
Yeah, that's
Simba?
Khan's like granddaughter or whatever. You know.
Well, we don't know that.
Okay. Noonien Singh is her last name, but that's fine. Even my
So,
dog knows.
Michael, what were your overall thoughts on this trailer?
You know, I love the Enterprise. I love the fact that it clearly looks like the Enterprise. It's recognizable as the Enterprise.
It's too much neon Vegas lights.
I'm not talking about the interior sets. I've said a million times I like the design, but there are too many of the fluorescent lights. That is my one big issue with it. All the white neon strip lights need to go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those white lights turn red or whatever when they go to red alert.
Red alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
But I'm sure they do. But regardless, I don't care for those light trims. But I do like the ship. Overall, with just a couple of exceptions, I like the casting trailers. I just don't, the main one I didn't like was Nurse Chapel because I don't think she's supposed to be.
She's not. Yeah,
she's not a combat nurse.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I really am. I know. I'm and. If it sucks, I will be the first person to be screaming about how it sucks. But I'm hoping for the best.
Oh, you'll be a close second behind Kadish.
So, Brian, I know that you've said that this is supposed to be more of an episodic series than we've seen in the past from current era Star Trek, but the trailer is giving us hints that there's an overarching season story that each one of these things kind of fits in, almost like how they did Discovery, where like Discovery season 2, it was kind of semi-episodic, but had like an overall season arc to it. Are you hearing anything about this, or is it straight up supposed to be episodic?
Yeah, it's supposed to be episodic. There is an underlying story going on, but the majority of the season, according to the showrunner, said the majority of the season is a return to an episodic Trek. So I think we're going to see,
which they also said about Discovery, did they, for the next season?
Yeah, for season 5, not season 4, for season 5.
Yeah.
So I can totally see like episodes connecting, but in the trailer I also see a lot of different aliens, different planets, different settings. It makes me feel good that they weren't faking us out.
Well, I hope it does go episodic because I couldn't even bother finish watching Discovery, like your J.J. Abrams' little sister. Never even saw that episode, and I'm glad I didn't. Like, I mean,
technically big sister, but whatever.
Whatever. I couldn't deal with it.
So guys, let's just wrap things up. I want to thank you all for coming back Saturday mornings and talking about all this stuff. I know that we had a lot to cover today. So why don't you tell everyone your final thoughts on all of our topics and where people can find more about you and where they can subscribe and all that good stuff. We'll start with you, Brian.
You can find me at the Popcast Live and, of course, the Popcast. In fact, I just put a brand new Quantum Leap video out. So if you guys want to check that out, that went up while we were talking.
Yep.
Great. Michael, where can they find out more about you?
I'm over at the Salty Trekker here on YouTube, and you can subscribe to me there.
And you got any Jeopardy stuff going on?
Well, yes, every
Thursday.
every Thursday, where consistently Dork Knight does not show up.
Dude, I was at a charity. No, that's not fair. I was at a children's charity event.
Yes.
It's not fair.
He's busting your balls, bro.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, where can people find out more about you?
Not on my channel.
F you, man. Right here, Dork Knight LV on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter's the best place, really. I'm also on the is it saltynerddiscord.com? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, saltynerddiscord.com. I in fact my Discord stays open on my tall monitor. Man, you're shedding a lot, buddy. What the hell? Yeah, and of course I put the link in there earlier thanks to this guy right here. I have a t-shirt shop. It's called, what is it? mixtees.com/dork-night. And that's KNIGHT, just like the name, no LV.
I talked to him. We can remove the hyphen if you ever want to do that.
Well, just make it Dork Knight LV. That's my thing for everything. But anyway, so but check it out. I've got 5 bitchin' ass designs, and hopefully soon.
Does that count as $1 for me?
Yes, it does.
Damn
it. And there's another one. Right. Yeah. I got called out by somebody in chat, so that's fine. And hey, everybody, thanks for the likes. We're at 49. One more. Just somebody smash it if you haven't, so we get 50. Because I'm OCD. Yeah. I like even numbers.
And I would also like to point out that Danny does these awesome kind of caricature drawings of people for their businesses or their business cards or whatever. He just did a bunch for the Salty Nerd podcast. We'll have to pull those up next time, next Saturday, so you can see
Vader's
them.
thing was the one.
Yeah, but if you want to hire Danny to do that, it's well worth the money. He's a very talented artist. He's got a great comic style to him.
Thank you, man.
We'll showcase more of your stuff on the next stream.
Thank
so
you,
I
man.
can plan it out a little bit better. But I highly recommend that you guys contact him via Twitter if you want a cartoon avatar for your social media profiles and stuff like that.
Thank
Very
you,
good
man.
stuff.
Appreciate
Anyway,
it.
guys, thank you all so much for coming by and talking Trek with us. Join us next Saturday for yet another Star Trek Picard review and all things Star Trek. It's kind of becoming our thing where Saturdays are Star Trek Day for us, and we're enjoying that. But also check out our latest episode of the Salty Nerd podcast that just dropped, talking about not Austin Power movies, aka Wayne's World 2.
Yeah. Well,
and
Mike Myers, not Austin Power movies. Yeah.
Yes, and So I Married an Axe Murderer. We have that new episode that just dropped. It was a lot of fun for me to edit and talk about some of my favorite comedies of all time, and it's a very funny episode. So if you haven't watched that yet, be sure to do that. And on Monday, we're also having a watch party for the next episode of Stargate Atlantis. Episode 8, Underground. Our review of that's going to be dropping on Monday, and then Halo, God willing, will be coming out on Wednesday as well.
Has your last episode even have it up?
So I'm redoing the latest episode, but our first episode got released from the block. However, it can't be monetized still, but you can find our first review in the Halo playlist if you want to check that out. And of course, on the audio end of things, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can find all of our stuff there. It's not getting blocked at all because it's audio. No one cares.
And leave a review, 5 stars.
Yes, and we're trying to get those 5-star ratings. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for showing up. Join us again next Saturday for more Star Trek talk. And as always, stay salty, my friends. We appreciate